girl. Your soul is speaking
in tongues.
All right, Eddie Connor, you go right ahead.
Oh, Lord. So today I want to talk about how, and I would love for everybody to jump in and play along with it. I'm getting a lot of emails lately about how psychic predictions work. And for me personally, this is just my perspective. When we're tuning in as a soul intuitive, when I'm doing a reading for somebody, my favorite type of reading on the planet is when they're coming to learn something about themselves, their subconscious blocks, where they're getting in their way, where they're stuck. And when someone has lots of desire and the desire is pure, and usually when they have a really healthy or good attitude, not a cravitude, I used to call it,
Right.
or a buttitude, where they're buttredicting everything they want with negative emotion. And so when I tune into someone energetically, we're literally tuning into that person's energy. And you've heard us say this a lot of times on air with Tony Sweet, that your physical body is only 0.01% of what creates your reality on this planet. And a good psychic, is tuning into the invisible energy that's around the human body. And everything has it. Animals, plants, even a pebble on the beach has an energy field about it. And that energy field for humans is based 100% on what that human thinks and feels about every subject on the planet. And they do it whether they know they're doing it or not. And we create that energy field around our bodies based on every thought, feeling, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, when we're awake and when we're asleep. So if someone comes and they really want a relationship, but they're innocently contradicting it with negative behavior about it or negative thoughts about it, then we pick up both probable realities in that person's energy field. Thank you. They just said everything a psychic says to a person that's in front of them during a reading is 100% a probable reality, which means it may or it may not happen. But here's the good but about that. The more pure you are about every subject you're asking about, the easier it is for us to read you. So if you're passionate about your career, as Brandon McMillan was, just leaving from Lucky Dog, the TV show Lucky Dog, he's very passionate about it. That's the most, with you, Wael, I've ever seen you get really thrilled because there was a puppy in the room. And
Did you notice, by the way, how I was just like completely zen?
You were the most, that's what I'm saying, the most I've ever seen you. And animals are energetically pretty much unconditional love. And they're pure positive energy. So whenever animals come in, dead or alive, that come into a psychic reading, they're always still non-physically pure positive energy. They're unconditional love. And you see how that energy from Sandy, his dog, was transmuting and transforming the energy in the room during the interview. And that's what I was struck with you. And that's why I just sort of sat back and let everybody play, because it was like this wonderful, energetic tennis match back and forth.
You wouldn't leave me alone, though. So
Yeah, there you go.
Session.
Yeah. And so when we tune in, and a client is asking for predictions, let's go back to the love thing, but they want the love relationship. They are contradicting themselves at the same time with the negative thoughts or the negative emotions. We see both probable realities in their energy field. When someone comes to me, if they feel stuck, I'll do something or say something to get them to laugh or smile. Or if they want to only talk about love, then I'll go in and ask their spirit guides to give me information that will light them up. You know, there's surprising money coming to you, and you should get it within a month, but no more than 2, and it's going to come out of the clear blue. And they're going to like, oh my God, really? And then anything that lights them up, that makes them happy, once their energy starts to expand, then the prediction part starts to get more and more clear. And then you start to see the person that's getting ready to come into their life. And then you get a sense of a time frame. You get a sense of what that person's going to be doing. But everything is based on the client's energy 100% of the time. And one of the funnest things about doing what I do for a living is the fact that it's probable reality. And the energy field or the thoughts and the feelings around every single human is electromagnetic, which means that we are perpetually, eternally waking and sleeping, constantly attracting only the reality to us that we're thinking about and that we're speaking about and that we're writing about and that we're gossiping about or that we're bitching about or that we're spending a lot of time loving about. And it's our job as human beings to keep steadily raising our vibration, to keep expanding our consciousness in a way that feels good to us. And so I want to ask you guys a question. How accurate do you think psychic predictions are, just loosely?
50-50.
Yep. Well, that's a good answer. That's a really good answer. I would say for a bad psychic, it's 50-50. That's a really good answer.
But, I mean, from my experience with you, probably 80-85%.
That's so funny. A really good psychic, just under the umbrella of predictions, will usually hit the mark about 85 to 90% of the time.
I love the ones that say they're 98% accurate.
I know. When a person tells you they're 98% accurate, you need to take that with a grain of salt because our thoughts change every second. Our feelings change every second, every minute, every hour. And we're only reading you in that moment based on that wonderful energy that is there, and sometimes that not wonderful energy that is there. I love to problem solve. So when a person is coming in, and if I know they're not going to like the prediction, I'll tell them what the prediction is because that's my job. That's why the person is sitting in front of me.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people that want to only hear what they want to hear.
Exactly.
So they'll keep twisting and turning the reading in the direction that they want to go, and so you will say what they want to hear, and that puts us in a really precarious position because we can't say what we don't see, we can't say what we don't feel and what we don't hear from non-physical. But a really, really good psychic is usually 90 to 100% accurate when it's about being of service to the soul in front of us. But if a person is white-knuckling something they want it so bad, they want it so bad, if they don't have it right now, then their life is going to fall apart. That stops the prediction. That stops the...
Is that kind of like saying a Christian on Sunday?
A little bit.
You know how, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
How it's like some people, it's all about praise on Sunday, but the Monday through Saturday, they're completely, mindset's completely different.
No, I thought you meant that also... Like, let's say Tony comes to you because he wants something to happen. But then based on everything that you ask him, he thinks about what the right answer should be and gives you that instead of what the answer is.
Sometimes
is that white-knuckling?
White-knuckling is when
you're just holding on to it like because you want it so bad. And
I really want, I want love. I want love. I want love. Why don't I have love? Where
but
is
then
it?
If you ask questions, they'll give you the answer that they think you should say rather than what they actually do or feel in certain things.
Some people will do that. It's not as common and it hasn't been as common with me in the 20-some years I've been doing it. That part not so much. I've seen it and I've heard a lot of my other colleagues talk about that.
Yeah, it's like when you go to
A therapist.
or when you go to, very simply, what we all do is who are sexually active, you go and get all your STD checks, and they ask you all those questions, and you put what you think you should put rather than what the actual answer should be.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that so much for me in a reading because I really am conscientious and I love what I do so much that I create a safe environment right away. I'm also really cognizant to ask them what they want before I close my eyes and start the reading. What is it that you want? And they'll say, I want peace of mind or clarity or I want direction with this, or where am I blocking my good?
Yeah.
And then once we establish the intention, my intention is here, their intention is here, and then we usually meet right up here in spirit.
I think what's really important with a good reader is they can dive in and they can uncover the subconscious saboteur.
My favorite.
Yeah, because
That's my favorite.
that is what really is the biggest problem, and people will want something so bad and then it won't happen, and they're like, well, why didn't the law of attraction work for me? Is it because of the subconscious saboteur? That's what I want to know, because I think that happens in my life a lot of times, actually.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
We have the subconscious mind is the captain of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
and the conscious mind are all of the sailors that work on the ship that do what the captain tells them to do, basically. And what you want to learn to do is let your conscious mind be the captain and then direct all of the sailors on the ship, for
Mhm.
lack of a better way to say it. And the subconscious mind has no sense of humor. And what I'm finding, and we should talk about this on one of the segments, is
Mhm.
the psychic inner child. Everybody has an inner child.
Mm.
Everybody. And sometimes people have 2 or 3. And I've seen a couple of people that have like 10 or 12.
Mhm.
And they're based on the subconscious beliefs that were born in our lifetimes when we were under 10 years old,
Mm.
usually under 7. So if I was taught rich people are all bad whenever I was a little kid, when I was taught life wasn't fair as a little kid, when I was taught that you work this hard and you only get this much money for doing it, then what have I planted in my subconscious mind?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's my reality. Even though my conscious mind is working really this hard
Mhm.
and I'm still only getting this much back.
Yeah.
It's because A, that's the seeds that was planted. B, that's the part that runs on automatic pilot every time I get stressed out.
Mhm.
Or even when I'm sleeping sometimes, that part, if I don't keep programming it, will keep going out and blocking me from doing what I love and then having a wonderful exchange of financial freedom as a result of that. So a really good psychic will go in and talk about where you're stopping, where you're blocking, where you're sabotaging.
Yeah.
That's why we created Ollie the Asphalt Fairy,
Mm.
because Ollie is a acronym for accidental self-sabotage
Mhm.
by default, because you would never purposefully sabotage something you loved and cared
Right.
about. It's just this thing that just comes in and it sort of jerks the rug out from under you.
Or fear.
Which
Well,
is an extension of
yeah.
subconscious mind.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're consciously sometimes doing that.
Well,
Like
yes.
one time, I had an incredible phone call from a composer, David Arnold, because he'd heard some of my stuff. And I just sent some stuff just as, I'll just send it. And then there was a message when we used to have
Answering machines.
answering machines and never called back. I didn't call him back. He wanted to meet me and
In one sentence,
Mhm.
in one sentence only, straight as quick as you can say it. What I didn't call him back because then I was.
too scared.
There you go. So you did consciously know it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was something bigger underneath. Every iceberg has the cap that you see on the top, but you don't see all of
Too
the
stoned.
subconscious stuff underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the subconscious. The conscious is a grain of sand. The subconscious is the whole beach.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And so the reason psychic predictions aren't written in stone is because you have free will.
Mhm.
Every human has free will. And if you're leaning too hard or much into your intuitive or your psychic or your reader or your medium to get them to say what you want them to say, it's not good for anybody
Mm-mm.
in
Yeah,
the room.
But then doesn't that make it the easiest job to just bullshit in as well? If you
And some
not-
will.
They will.
But that's what I'm saying. With
Mhm.
that's because then,
Some will 'cause they
because
just
then
want
turn
the
around and
money.
go, well, you changed your mind.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's always going to be, for every good reader in this town, there's 100 that aren't
Mm-hmm.
or more.
Ethics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put your heart and soul into it, I'll be perfectly honest, I ended up getting an email, and we talked about it privately, and it was on one of the social networks, and it was just a one sentence thing. It was based on that person's opinion, and it threw me for a loop for a week. Because when I do the readings, I give 190%. When I do the readings, I do it because it's what I do. I love it more than anything else on this planet. And then to be told or accused of something that's not true because one piece of the reading didn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not trying to understand or they're not approaching it in a loving way, I let it get the best of me for a minute. I started co-creating and started sabotaging my thoughts about my own ability there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And no reading is written in stone. No psychic is 100% accurate. If they're smart, they tell you that up front. So if they ask about predictions, you say that up front, or I do. And it's not written in stone because we constantly change our thoughts about certain subjects. And I don't know about you guys, but how many humans do you know that only think one thing about one subject and that's it? Or how many humans do you know that if you talk about love, there's 800 gazillion different ways to look at it if it's something you want, and then it becomes layered and then it almost becomes this energetic, incestuous thing that you have with yourself that brings out the best in you and sometimes the worst in you.
Right.
And it's our job to go in and get to the root of the subconscious stuff, go to the bottom of that iceberg that nobody can see under the water, and start bringing it all the way up to the top and shine a light on the top part, which is the life they're living.
Do you think there's a difference between predictions and timing?
A little bit. Predictions are usually what most people will hold on to and not listen to anything else. Timing will organically come through in a reading. I'm really good with predictions, and I'm really good with timing. It's one of my favorite things, because if I were going to a reader, I would kind of want some of that too. I'm not going to ask for it, but if it comes through, I'm going to get really excited, because that means my energy is more pure than I even knew that it was about a certain subject. So timing usually organically just flows out, and predictions is usually something the client will ask for.
I don't know what timing means.
Timing, like if I said to you, you've got this new opportunity coming to you as a composer that you've never had before, and it will just land in your lap naturally between now and January the 1st of 2015. But if you were sitting there like this and you're going, am I going to get the job? Am I going to get the job? That's you asking for a prediction about a certain thing in a certain time frame, and then you're watching the calendar. So as that date comes and goes, you're kind of like, well, okay, just like the rest of my life, I never get what I want. Yeah.
Or relationship, like, will he come around? And then they say, yeah, he definitely is going to come around. But then they give you a date, and that date passes, and he doesn't come around. And they're like, well, there was something that happened.
I love that you said that, John, for this reason. When that happens, and the date comes around, you have to look at your energy. Has it been like this the whole time?
Right.
Or has it been like this the whole time? Or has it been like this?
Right, push and pull.
Yeah. And when they see the date come and go, they only hold on to how bad it feels that didn't happen. And then if you feel bad for longer than 17 seconds, you've already created 2,000 action hours worth of more things that feel not good coming to you about that specific subject.
Yeah.
And then you're accidentally sabotaging yourself by default over and over. And it just puts people sometimes in a really depressed is too strong of a word, but kind of depressed cycle.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because it just makes you reflect on how many times that you wanted something and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's yeah, for sure.
So how psychic predictions work is, remember that nothing's written in stone. We're tuning into your energy. We're tuning into the electromagnetic part of you based on every thought, every feeling, every frequency you've ever admitted. Our job as intuitives is to go in and attune to you, the spiritual part of you, the invisible part of you, and then take that energy and then give it back to you in a way you can hear it and see it, and then hopefully take inspired action on it. And that's how psychic predictions work. And this is another segment of Girl, Your Soul is Speaking.
All right.
Yay!